Friends, spirituality fails most profoundly when it confronts evil. Loving people get swept into war. Religions of peace become crusades against infidels. Faiths preaching love descend into partisan hatred. Even ultimate truth offers no guarantee against evil's seduction. More violence has erupted from religion than any other cause. As the saying goes, God gave us truth. The devil said he'd organize it. There's also the quieter failure. The failure of standing aside, of letting evil have its way. Perhaps we secretly believe evil is stronger than good. When asked how England should face Nazi Germany, Gandhi had a radical answer. He said, "Fight Nazism without weapons. Lay down your arms as useless. Invite Hitler and Mussolini to take what they want. Let them possess your island and beautiful buildings. Give them everything, except your souls and minds. This shocked the world." Yet Gandhi stayed true to nonviolence throughout World War II. Would it have worked on Hitler? A man who declared war the father of all things? We'll never know. But passivity itself has a dark side. The Catholic Church faced one of its darkest eras during the Holocaust. Millions of Jews died. Some were rounded up within sight of Vatican windows. Let's be honest. Spirituality has repeatedly failed against evil. But there's another way, a new path forward. If there's only one reality, evil has no special power. It has no separate existence. There's no cosmic Satan rivaling God. Even the war between good and evil is an illusion born of duality. Both good and evil are forms that consciousness chooses to take. In that sense, evil is no different from good. Their similarity goes back to the source. Two babies born on the same day may grow up entirely different. One commits evil acts, the other does good. But as babies, neither was created evil. The potential for right and wrong exists in their consciousness. As they grow, many forces shape that consciousness. These forces are incredibly complex. Labeling anyone as purely evil makes no sense. Considered what shapes every newborn child: parental guidance or its absence, the presence of love or lack of it, family context, peer and social pressure, personal tendencies and reactions, indoctrinated beliefs, religious teaching, karma, the tide of history, role models, collective consciousness. The appeal of myths, heroes, and ideals. Every force I've listed is influencing your choices right now, invisibly pushing you into action. Because reality is tangled in these influences, so is evil. All these forces combine to create good and evil. If your childhood hero was Stalin, you'd see the world differently than someone who admired Joan of Arc. Your Protestant life in an American suburb differs vastly from persecution under the Huguenots. Think of a person as a building. Hundreds of electrical lines feed into it. Countless messages power different projects inside. From outside, you see one building, one single object standing there. But its inner life depends on hundreds of incoming signals. So does yours. None of these forces is inherently evil. But under these influences, each person makes choices. I believe any evil inclination comes down to a choice made in consciousness. Here's the paradox. Those choices seemed good when they were made.
With rare exceptions, people who perform evil trace their motives to seemingly good decisions.
Decisions that seemed best given their situation. Children who suffer abuse often become abusive parents themselves. You'd think they'd be the last to resort to family violence, but in their minds, other options aren't available.
The context of abuse, embedded since early childhood, is too powerful. It overshadows freedom of choice.
People at different awareness levels won't share the same definition of good and bad. Consider the social enslavement of women worldwide. It seems totally wrong in the modern world. Yet many countries feed it through tradition, religious sanction, social value, and family practices. This has gone on for centuries.
Until recently, even the victims saw their helpless, obedient role as good. Evil depends completely on one's level of consciousness.
Let me show you 7 different definitions of evil. Which one resonates with you? The first, the worst evil, is to hurt someone physically or endanger their survival. The second, the worst evil is economic enslavement, depriving people of success and prosperity. The third, the worst evil is destroying peace and bringing disorder. The fourth, the worst evil is entrapping people's minds. The fifth, the worst evil is destroying beauty, creativity, and freedom to explore. The sixth, evil is often difficult to tell from good because all creation is relative. The seventh, there is no evil, only shifting patterns of consciousness in eternal dance. Most people choose the first 2 definitions. Physical harm and depredation are so threatening.
At this consciousness level, evil means inability to survive or earn a living. Good means physical safety and economic security.
The next 2 levels shift from physical to mental.
The greatest terror isn't food deprivation, but being told what to think. Good means inner peace.
The free flow of insight and intuition. The next levels are more refined. They concern creativity and vision.
The greatest fear is being unable to express oneself, or being forced to label others as evil. A deeply spiritual person doesn't view good and evil as rigid categories. They've begun accepting that God had purpose in creating both. Good becomes free expression, openness to all new things. Reverence for both dark and light aspects of life. Finally, the last level sees the entire play of good and evil as illusion. Every experience brings union with the Creator. One lives as a co-creator, immersed in God consciousness.
The one reality accepts all these definitions. It must, because anything consciousness perceives is real to the perceiver.
Evil is part of a hierarchy, a ladder of growth, where everything changes depending on your rung. The growing process never ends. It's at work in you, at this very minute.
If you wake up one day suddenly hating someone, what happened? If violence seems the only way out? If love isn't an option? Consider how subtly you arrived at your position. It took a whole world to throw you into the arms of good or evil. You've invertized these forces. You reflect the world, just as the world reflects you. This is what it means to have the world in you. The shadow exists. Dark energies operate within you and me. They're not supernatural or mystical. They're simply split off parts of ourselves.
Aspects we couldn't accept, feelings we had to hide, impulses that seemed too dangerous.
The shadow grows when we deny parts of ourselves. It builds up hidden power by depriving us of free choice. But awareness can remake any impulse. Awareness is the first step to illuminating darkness.
I don't view good and evil as a struggle of absolutes. I don't accept that evil people exist.
Only people who haven't faced their shadows. There's always time to do that.
Our souls constantly open new ways to bring in light.
As long as that's true, evil will never be fundamental to human nature.
So how do you change your reality to accommodate this eighth secret? The shadow exists out of sight.
To find it, you must take a journey of descent. Think of this journey as going back. Retrieving parts of your life you abandoned. Parts you felt ashamed or guilty about.
The anger erupting from the shadow is attached to past events. Events never resolved. Those events are over and gone now. But their emotional residue isn't.
Shame, guilt, and fear cannot be accessed by thinking.
The shadow isn't a region of thoughts and words. Even when you flash back to such emotions, you're using your higher brain. Your cortex cannot touch the shadow. The journey of descent begins when you find the doorway to your lower brain,
where experience is sorted by intense feelings, not reason. There's an ongoing drama inside your lower brain.
inside your limbic system processing emotions, inside your reptilian brain reacting to threat and survival.
In this drama, many issues trigger irrational responses. Getting stuck in traffic, losing a business deal, being passed over at work, having someone turn you down for a date. Without realizing it, everyday events cause your lower brain to draw conclusions. I am in danger. I might be killed.
I must go on the attack. I am so hurt I'll never recover. These people deserve to die. They put me in agony. I don't deserve to exist. Everything is hopeless. I'm lost in the dark forever. I'm cursed. Nobody loves me.
I verbalize these to communicate on the page, but in reality, view them as energy.
Strong, impulsive forces with their own momentum.
Rest assured, no matter how free you feel, these shadow energies exist inside you.
If they didn't, you'd be in total freedom, joy and unboundedness. You'd be in unity. The state of innocence regained when the shadow's hidden energy has been purified. Today, you can begin learning how to feel your way into the shadow. Shadow energies make themselves known in specific moments when you can't talk about your feelings, when you feel out of control, when you feel a flash of panic or dread, when you want to feel strongly, but your mind goes blank, when you break down in tears for no reason.
When you irrationally dislike someone, when a reasonable argument turns into warfare, when you attack someone without provocation.
There are countless other ways the shadow gets entangled in everyday situations.
What they have in common is this: a boundary is crossed. A controlled situation turns unexpectedly anxious.
Or causes unexpected anger or dread. Next time you experience this, watch. See if you feel guilty or ashamed afterward.
If so, you've touched, however briefly, on the shadow. An eruption of irrational feelings isn't the same as releasing them.
Venting is not purification. Don't mistake an outburst for catharsis. Shadow energy is purified through specific steps.
First, the negative feeling comes up: anger, grief, anxiety, hostility, resentment, self-pity, hopelessness. Second, you ask to release it.
Third, you experience the feeling. You follow where it wants to go.
Fourth, the feeling leaves through breath, sound, or bodily sensations. Fifth, you have a sense of release,
Coupled with an understanding of what the feeling meant. It's the last step that tells the tale. When a shadow energy truly leaves, there's no resistance anymore. You see something you didn't see before. Insight and release go together. The journey of descent consists of encountering your shadow many, many times.
Emotions as intense as shame and guilt give themselves up only bit by bit, and you wouldn't want more.
Be patient with yourself. No matter how little you think you've released, say this: that's all the energy willing to be released right now. You don't have to wait for full-blown eruptions from the shadow. Set aside time for a shadow meditation. Give yourself permission to feel whatever wants to come up. Then you can begin the process of asking it to release. Try this. Take a piece of paper.
Start writing the sentence I am really feeling right now. Fill in the blank with any feeling that comes up.
Preferably a negative feeling you had to keep to yourself. Keep writing. Don't stop.
Write as fast as you can. Put down any words that want to stream out of you. Other sentences to begin with. What I should have said was, I can't wait to tell someone that Nobody can stop me from saying the truth about. Nobody wants to hear me say this, but
through these triggers, you're giving yourself permission to express yourself.
But the more important aim is getting at a forbidden feeling. That's why the words don't matter. Once you access the feeling, the real work of release begins. You need to feel it completely. Ask for release.
Keep going until you gain new self-understanding. It may take practice before any real deep release comes. But step by step, the walls of resistance will come down. The shadow is subtly involved in everyday life.
it is never so hidden that you cannot bring it to light. Here's the truth, friends. Evil is not your enemy. Your unexamined shadow is. Your denied feelings are.
Your abandoned self is. But you have everything you need to illuminate the darkness within. Awareness.
Courage, patience, and the willingness to descend and retrieve what you've lost.
Evil has no special power. It has no separate existence. It's simply consciousness that hasn't yet been brought into light.
So bring it to light. Face your shadow. Release what binds you. And discover that what you feared most was never your enemy at all. It was simply waiting to be welcomed home.